So running took me from looking like this to this in just 5 weeks. When I first started running, I couldn't even run for 5 minutes without getting completely tired. I couldn't even run a lap around the park without getting so tired that I just felt like going home. So I remember back when I was 16, 15, 16 years old, I started running for the first time, as in actually waking up in the morning and going for a run. Around that time, I was eating a lot of really unhealthy food. I'd come home from school, I would I would basically just eat two plates of rice, two huge plates of rice, like the size that most people's dads eat, and I'd like eat a big amount of ice cream afterwards, and then smash a bag of chips that same afternoon. So I was eating probably 2,000, like literally 2,500 calories, and in high school, right? Nearly every day, and that made me very overweight. So normally I'm sitting around 63, 60, 64 kilograms is healthy, but this pushed me up to 70 kilograms, and this was before I even hit the gym. So there was like no muscle on my frame; it was all just fat. Like literally, I would I would like struggle to like put on like my belt and stuff. So I was so tired of living like that. I was really tired of that, and I decided that I was gonna go for runs to try and lose the weight, because my friend at the time, this really cool guy, he actually lost a ton of weight around year 10, year 16, 15 years old, and he mostly lost that weight from just running. So he just ran laps around where he lived, and he ended up losing like 10 kilograms, and he looks completely different. So during the summer between the end of year 10 and the start of year 11, I decided that I was going to wake up in the morning and go for a run. And one of the major, I guess, like insecurities I had when I first started was actually running outside and people seeing me run. Right? It's just really trippy to have people like watch you exercise, because prior to that I would be just training at home, just in my room. So I didn't really have to worry about people kind of watching me and judging me. So like imagine you're running and you see all these cars pass you and you're like, damn, what are they thinking? And maybe some guys like just judging you silently. But I realized that no one actually cares. Like they're just so caught up in their own lives that they probably didn't even give you a second thought. That they probably just went past you, and like they've already forgotten about you within a minute of passing by you. So if you do want to get into running in the mornings or just running in general, just don't worry about people seeing you run. So the first way that running has changed my life is losing that weight. Like losing that weight completely changed the way I look. Like I went from looking so like an Indian tech support worker to looking like much better. And since it was during the school holidays between year 10 and year 11, when I actually came back to school, not only did I change my glasses to contacts and lost 8 kilograms in 5 weeks, I looked so different that people thought I was a new person. Like people who like they didn't even notice me before. They were actually seeing what I look like. So the first thing that really, I guess, like changed my life was just losing that amount of weight, because I've never been that skinny before. I've never been looked that good, at least at that point. So everything just looks better when you lose weight. Like when you lose weight, you probably won't understand this unless you come from like the background of just being heavier than normal. Like I was 9 and I was like 45 kilograms. I was a ball. I was like literally a circle. Like if you go to a textbook and you search up circle or you find a circle, that's literally what I look like. Like you could calculate the radius. You can calculate my circumference if you just had my radius. That's how round I was as like a child. So for me to lose that much weight and to get to that level where I was like actually, somewhat decent looking and in decent shape, that completely changed my life, because I was able to wear clothes and actually look good in those clothes. And and it was just completely different. Like people would treat you differently as well. Like when I was really fat, people just were just not that nice to me. But when you lose weight, or when I lost weight, people kind of changed the way they saw me. They changed the way that they treated me, and I found that so weird. Like people who wouldn't even have looked at me before, now they're looking at me, they're talking to me, they're trying to be my friend, and I found it just so strange. So that's the first benefit, like losing weight and all the benefits that come from losing weight. The second thing is getting discipline, like actually forcing myself to get up in the mornings and go for a 5 kilometer run, a 1 kilometer run, or whatever I set to do that day. Because I will just go outside and I'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to run this many Ks today, or at least I'm going to do this many kilometers. and I'm not gonna come home until I finished it. If it was like a school morning, then I would actually, set something reasonable, like maybe 3 to 5 kilometers, something I could run in less than 30 minutes, less than 45 minutes. That way I could still make it back in time. But I would go out there and be like, all right, today I'm gonna run 10 kilometers or get 10 kilometers, because at the time I wasn't, even though I lost weight, I wasn't really fit. So that 10 kilometers, maybe 60% of it would be running, the other 40% would be walking, kind of thinking about stuff, or just like, I don't know, getting distracted in certain ways. So the discipline of actually waking up, going for a run, even when I don't feel like it, even like not giving myself a chance to give up and leave before I've done that certain amount. Like I would just not go home. Like I could have cramped my calves, but I would still be like trying to walk the rest of the kilometers of the distance that I set for myself. So that is the second way that has changed my life. Me being able to take that discipline and then apply it to my studies, then apply it to like my job at the time. Like I was so much more focused after I started training, after I started running and doing all those things. The third thing is actually giving me the fitness level necessary to start my first Spartan race. When I was 16, when I just turned 16, that's when I sat. Actually, no, when I was 15, because it was 3 or 4 days before my birthday, I went from my state in New South Wales to Queensland, and I drove up there with my family, and I was able to do a 7 kilometer Spartan sprint. I think now they're only 5 kilometers, like the first Spartan race. It's like 5Ks and then 14, 21, but it used to be 7Ks with 23 obstacles, and that's the one I did. And I was nowhere near fit enough like 3 or 4 months prior to that. Like even like 2 months prior to that, not I was not quite that fit. But running actually gave me the fitness level required to go that distance. And even though like 7 kilometers to some people it seems like a lot, some people it seems like little. I think that 7 for a beginner is kind of in the middle of like what's difficult and what's easy. Like anything less than like 6 is relatively easy to do, because you're not really out there for that long. You could probably get it done in less than an hour. But I guess with the Spartan race, is the added difficulty of actually having those obstacles to do as well. So yeah, and after that Spartan race, I completely changed. Like I had so much more confidence. I realized that I could do things that I didn't think were possible. At first, I really doubted myself. I was like, "Oh, how am I gonna do this?" It's like all these obstacles, and I never played sport outside of school. Like the most I did was just playing cricket in school. So like being able to do a Spartan race just completely like changed what I thought was possible for myself, and it gave me the confidence to have an amazing year after that. So I did my Spartan sprint in February 2017. I've done a bunch since then, but this is back when I was still in school. 2017, and then I did my Spartan Super, which was like a 14K race the month after in March. That was in Victoria, so like a different state to New South Wales. And a few months after that, in my state in New South Wales, I did a 21 kilometer beast, and that was an amazing year. Like that year, just set so many of the positive habits that I still have to this day, like running and training every day. And honestly, like if you were to run as well, if you were to just set aside time to run, you'll be amazed at just how many calories it burns and how low it keeps your body fat percentage. And just all the different changes that happen. Like let's say you wake up in the morning, the sun's just coming up and you're going for a run. Like you can see the sun rising. You just feel like you're starting the day off correctly. And when you come back, you just feel like doing so much more work and being productive. And I don't know, it just feels so good. If you also want to get those same benefits, I think you should also go for runs and do the same thing. It's completely changed my life. Like if I didn't start that initial habit of running when I was 15, like yeah, nearly 16, I wouldn't be where I am today. Like I think I attribute a lot of my success today to just that first habit of running that I did back when I was 15, because that just gave me a routine and gave me something to do as soon as I woke up, to wake me up and then start my day off right and start my day off with the right precedent and give me the discipline required to like improve in other areas of my life.